Hello. What's up, everybody? Welcome to an impromptu Bituation Room with Wajahat Ali, also an impromptu left hook, the left hook with Wajahat Ali. We're going to talk about this incredible victory that I cannot stop smiling over, that I cannot stop dancing, that I can't believe I have to be calm and quiet because my child is trying to sleep. But I am so stoked right now, people.
I have 800 kids running around. I'm supposed to be vacationing in Orlando with my in-laws, and I just got back from jumping with children at altitude. And I sent a text to Francesca because I was monitoring this also. One eye on the children, one eye on the race. And Mamdani, once the 38% came in, I'm like, can he actually pull it off? And then I saw 40% and then 50%. I'm like, Staten Island? He's only 11% behind in Staten Island. And now, folks, the results so far is he gets about 43.5% of the vote. Cuomo gets 36.4. Brad Lander gets 11.4. Brooklyn plus 17 from Mamdani. I love you, Brooklyn. Manhattan plus 5. Queens plus 7. The Bronx plus 18 for Cuomo. Staten Island only plus 9. Cuomo has, just as of a half hour ago, officially conceded. Even though he conceded, he hasn't necessarily said he's out of the race entirely. He's mulling whether or not he's going to run as an independent. And then you also have the Turkish delight, Mayor Adams. But I do believe, folks, with the numbers that we have right now, if Mamdani goes up against both of them, the good money is he's going to win.
Yeah. I mean, this is, I was going into this watch with my hopes on the ground just because I was going into this thinking, how is the left going to recover from this? Here you have this just absolute rising star, this incredibly magnanimous, just incredibly, I don't know how else to explain him. Like, he's so gracious and captivating, and also makes an incredible pitch for a party, for a politics that actually can speak to working people, that actually can center also the experience of immigrants, that he is a Muslim man. He also is someone who has never shrunk from discussing the ongoing genocide in Gaza. He has every time defended his positions with love, with, understanding, with grace. And I'm like, well, this is too good to be true. Are you kidding me? In the year of our hell, 2025,
Can't have nice things.
we can't have nice things. And Wajahat, as you know, every time a Muslim is in the public eye, and especially Muslim men, it's like, wow, we got to take this person down a peg. They are an anti-Semite.
I have thoughts, folks, and allow me to rant. And usually I apologize for my rant, but tonight I won't. First of all, just like Francesca, I've been following this race because I believe in Zohran's campaign. I do not in any way, shape, or form, for those who know me, adulate or venerate politicians. But once in a while, when a talented, charismatic politician comes around, I say, I'm excited. Zohran was consistent, ran a fantastic campaign, leaned into his roots, reached out, grassroots, made amazing alliances. And then you had, in the last 2 weeks, out of desperation, right, the old playbook, the racist Islamophobic playbook that has gone mainstream, especially during the war on terror, right, after 9/11. And folks, notice this isn't a tan. I'm a brown-skinned man, bearded, much like Zohran Mamdani, Muslim man. The type of shit that we get, even now in 2025, from liberals in New York City, oh, I have stories. And also from Republicans, right? We have tough skin. And then you saw Zohran Mamdani as Cuomo was getting desperate and realized this brown guy, Zohran Mamdani, Democratic Socialist, is creeping up. What happened in the last 2 weeks? If you watch the NBA Finals, he even spent money during the NBA Finals with some of the most racist Islamophobic attacks, folks. We had banners in New York talking about the global intifada. If Mamdani wins, there'll be the global intifada because a brown Muslim is a Palestinian, is a Muslim, is an Arab, is a terrorist, is ISIS. He's not even Palestinian or Arab. It doesn't matter. Muslim bearded guy. They photoshopped a picture of Zohran Mamdani. They made his beard bushier and they darkened his skin and put him in a thobe. You had APAC, Betar, ADL going all out. Oh, I'm going to be petty tonight. Deborah Messing. Oh, she's having a rough night. Oh, I hope she takes Tums, and I hope she takes some Pepto-Bismol. The racist ish that she put out. Did you see that her TikTok, man? a photo of the two towers going down, 9/11, global jihad. This is the type of shit in 2025. And it was Cuomo's campaign going all in on this. There you go. Laura Loomer, jihadi. It doesn't even make sense, but this is the stuff that gets normalized. And folks, if I may continue my rant, we said, Francesca and I and others who are young student activists who protested the war on terror, who are on the right side of history, who got called, my God, remember what they called us? Anti-American, terrorists. You're either with us or against us. We said, and I had skin in the game as a Muslim. Okay, the Islamophobia and the anti-Muslim bigotry that you guys are writing right now will come back and bite you in the ass. You're using this to allow a war on terror, which will fail. You're allowing the creation of the Patriot Act, of DHS, of ICE. You're normalizing this, and folks, right now, because the boogeyman is Muslim, you're okay with it. But what happens when ICE is used against you? When Patriot Act is used against you, and voila, I give you LA. So we're seeing the intersection, Francesca, of normalized Islamophobia in Gaza during the genocide, with the war in Iran right now, and what they did to Mamdani. And of course, Gaza is just obliterated. The war in Iran, God knows what will happen. But this, the fact that New Yorkers came together, and the last thing I'll say is the fact that it took this Avengers Assemble moment, right? This is why I love New York. I love New York. Brad Lander, New York City comptroller, Jewish American man, cross-endorsed with Mamdani. Michael Blake, black man, cross-endorsed with Mamdani. And when I was looking at the numbers, and the numbers right now are 43.5% Zohran, 36.4% Andrew Cuomo, 11.3% Brad Lander. When I saw Brad Lander at 11 to 12%, I said, I think he's got it. Because even if he didn't get to the threshold, a Muslim and a Jew coming together to defeat a sexual predator, God bless America. Sorry for my rant.
No, it's actually the most beautiful thing ever. And remember, when you giving us all this backstory of like why and how so much Islamophobia has been allowed to flourish, I do think the fact that this is happening in New York City, in the site of the, of ground zero, the ground zero of the Islamophobic, whatever Patriot Act attacks. I was there on 9/11. I was like starting, college on, September of 2001 in New York City.
Wow.
And like, this is just incredible. This is incredible. And there are people in the comments over on Instagram say, I worked the election today in Brooklyn. Turnout was crazy. More people showed up to vote in the 90-degree heat than voted in the last presidential election.
100-degree heat, Francesca, 100-degree heat. And it felt like 106.
Yeah. I mean, this is the excitement. What is possible when you allow someone to be fully themselves, when they stop hedging, when they stop A/B testing, when they stop go like polling everything to fucking death, and they simply believe in something, right? They simply say, I believe in an affordable New York. I want free buses. I want community-run grocery stores. I want to freeze the rent. I want to add community safety to New York City. No more cops, community safety teams. And when he's pressed on the so-called hard issues, like, do you think Israel has a right to exist? He says, yes. But I also think, and he never even said but, he says, as a country that is compliant with international law, that is, democratic, and, that upholds international law. I mean, he basically said in no uncertain terms, it's not in the way it's existing. I mean, yes, it has a right to exist, but like, have you seen Israel lately? And he was able to say that again, articulated in this beautiful, in this compassionate, in this but real way. And Waj, we've been told for fucking 20 months that you cannot lead and you cannot be honest about foreign policy, and you cannot, from a leftist progressive perspective, really be honest about Gaza and really center humanity. We've been told that that's not going to win elections. People don't care about foreign policy, but it absolutely played into people throwing down with Mamdani, him being his honest, true self, and young people. 40% of the early vote, 40% of the early vote was people under 40. So, like,
didn't work. It didn't work, folks. And Francesca's been on it. We had America Unhinged. We were on it with that show, the first 100 days of Trump administration. Beforehand, we kept telling the Democratic Party, you cannot ignore Gaza. You cannot ignore the genocide. It's a stained legacy, a shameful legacy. And all those war hawks, we're going to talk about the establishment and how they failed. We're going to talk about that. But today, Antony Blinken Another war criminal, along with the other war criminals who allowed this genocide to happen under Biden administration, came out and said, "Well, Donald Trump, he made a mistake, but did he? He did the right thing with the strike to Iran." You saw the neocons get boners. Adam Kinzinger, David Frum showed his true colors, right? All showing their true colors. Ooh, we could bomb another Muslim country. So we'll align with Donald Trump for this. And oops, already that take has gone rotten, more rotten than milk in the New York 160-degree heat, folks, because they came out with their chest out, thumping their chest, right, to bomb Iran. And 2 days later, whoopsie, they didn't even finish doing that job. And so it's all connected because it was all intersecting with this Islamophobia and racism against Mamdani. And you had the entire establishment. You had Bill Clinton just reduce whatever was left of his diminished legacy to come out and go for Cuomo. You had Clyburn, 82-year-old, who's going to hang on to leadership like friggin' Charlton Heston held on to that rifle. You have to pry it from my cold dead hands, right? The CEO of Palantir, the company that friggin' publicly celebrates working with Israel to commit this genocide and now got the contract to essentially surveil Americans. You had the New York Times. You had this on top of my head. You had Bloomberg. You had Lauren Summers come out who say,
Bill
I don't know
Ackman.
much about New York economics, but I know Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic Social, will be bad. AIPAC, ADL, Batar, Global Intifada, death threats against him. And the people said, F you, F your racism. We don't care. It's not going to be enough. And I'll be honest with you, Francesca. I wanted him to win. I thought he might win, but I did like a Jedi mind trick over myself and said, there's no way he's going to win because I could not take it. I was like, there's no way. They've literally, the establishment has put all of its cannons literally at Zohran Mamdani. Not against Trump, right? Hakeem Jeffries, Schumer, no. Mouse farts. All against Mamdani. And he still won.
I know. And this is
Mamdani today, which is why I think it's historic. I think it's a seismic
shift.
It's
historic. It's seismic. It's historic. It has massive implications for national politics. What you just said, let's pick up from that, from Clyburn and Clinton, right? Now, if 2024 weren't already a lesson that these old hacks aren't the people to listen to anymore, this election really was. They are out of touch. Of all the people, 2024, okay, Clyburn and Clinton, they're endorsing, obviously, Kamala, they endorsed Biden, all this, that's whatever. But Andrew Cuomo, a man who allowed your grandmother and grandfather to die from COVID and then covered it up, sent people back into their nursing homes to get others infected, a man who's got 13 sexual harassment accusations from 13 different women, a man who consistently worked with Republicans to stymie and thwart any progress in New York State, which is the reason New York Democrats were where they were. This is a sea change for them. And again, when you mention LA, I mean, I'm looking at we're on the other side of the mirror. We're in the sunken place. We are in the fucking sunken place. We are under attack. People are getting picked up on every fucking street corner, and our mayor is not doing shit about it. Now, I'm not saying that if Mayor Mamdani could stop ICE, stop the NYPD from working, we don't know. This is a long slog, but what we've proven tonight and today, and what every single person who knocked doors, 1.5 million doors, who made calls, is that people power and a message, and that is captivating, that people power can still overcome the fucking money, the establishment, and our own establishment. Forget Republican establishment, our own establishment. And so it's from a pragmatic, from a strategic, from a moral, from a political standpoint, Mamdani's a win. Zohran's a win for everything involved.
Huge. It reminds me of in few times in my life, the seismic wins. Obama, seismic win. Trump, for all the worst reasons. AOC. And Mamdani. Why? Because New York City, folks, I love New York City. New York City is a city. New York City, New York City represents so much of America, right? New York City is a city that got attacked on 9/11. When New York City got attacked, all of New Yorkers rallied, but not just New Yorkers rallied, America rallied behind New York City. So much of the world rallied behind New York City. And New York City is also the hub of power, of Wall Street, of money, of the 1%. And boy, oh boy, some folks, and I say some folks because, and it's very
You have to go
important.
lay down the law.
So many Jewish, no, the kiddos are having fun. I just don't want to bother you and your audience. If it's too loud,
No.
folks, let me know. We have wildlings. We have like my kids and all their cousins. But so many Jewish Americans came out and voted for Mamdani. I hate this binary. Lander, again, New York City comptroller, got arrested last week, right, for demanding ICE agents show a federal warrant. He cross-endorsed, right? But then you got folks also who are like these insane pro-Israel right-wing bigots who are also using the right wing and Christian nationalists and MAGA to crush, and you know this, Francesca, let's be honest about it, to crush anything and everything that is pro-Palestinian, including Columbia University, including Mahmoud Khalil, including pro-Palestinian activists, students, actors, writers. We all know. We've seen it for the past year and a half. And they are now combining all their superpowers to go against Mamdani. And Mamdani, going back full circle to what he said, he could have been an Elisa Slotkin, the centrist, that Democrat establishment. Yes. We're going to promote Elisa Slotkin, who's going to use right-wing framing and attack the woke. We're going to use Hakeem Jeffries, who's so useless and pathetic. And Francesca and I have been on this for a while. I said, this guy is not made for this moment. I've been saying it for a while. Yesterday, when given a chance, freaking softball down the middle. A majority of Americans are against the war in Iran. Have you seen Ro Khanna and Massey's bipartisan resolution that Congress needs to authorize war plans? And what did he say? Quickly,
I haven't taken a look at it.
Haven't taken a look at it. Next question, right? And they came out, and this is why I think it's so important. With all that being said, with the fact that Kamala Harris lost, with the fact that Donald Trump is in the gutter and they haven't been able to even effectively message on an anti-war platform, which literally they'll win over Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Steve Bannon, they said, you know what? We're going to spend all our time destroying this Zohran Mamdani, Democratic Socialist. And this was his platform. Someone just wrote it. Karen Ho wrote this on Blue Sky. This is surprisingly effective things that Zohran Mamdani ran on. Free buses, rent freeze, halal card for $8 instead of 10, taxing the 1%, no cost childcare, city-owned grocery stores, a Department of Community Safety for mental health programs, building affordable housing, and why Cuomo sucks. And they said, nope, we're willing to burn down our base and do an FU to future generations, and we will invest all of our equity, whatever equity we have left, Clyburn's equity, Summer's equity, Clinton's equity, in destroying this man. That's what they decided to do. And Mamdani and the base came out and said, F you, which is why I think there are a lot of people crying tonight, Francesca.
Yeah.
And all the right people are crying.
And you know what? The timing was so perfect. Because I think you're right. In the last 2 weeks, Zohran started surging like a month. He was on Bituation Room. He was on America Unhinged. He was doing every podcast. He was, fully hit the independent media circuit completely, was so gracious with his time, took that very seriously. And then about a month ago, it was like, oh shit, he's really surging. And there was some polling that started to come out that showed that he was leading Cuomo. And then 2 weeks ago, and very much like a week ago, the walls started closing in terms of the attack ads and all this. And we thought, oh, we can't have nice things. And especially we can't have nice things if those things are happening to me Muslim, can't have that. Now, if you're just joining us, Mahmoud Mamdani, Mahmoud is his father, who's amazing. Zohran Mamdani has gotten 43.5% of the vote, 92% counting. This is first round pick. Cuomo has 36.4% and conceded to Mamdani just about an hour ago or less. Conceded. Now, we don't know if that means he's going to run in the general. I have my suspicions he will, but does he want to lose again? Who knows? Brad Lander, as Waj mentioned a little bit ago, 11.3%. But mind you that then after this, because no one's reached over 50%, of course, which would have been insane, but 43.5 is pretty damn good for Zohran. Wow. They're going to go to everyone's number 2 pick. Now, if a bunch of people's number 2 pick is Cuomo, obviously that changes, but Cuomo's conceded for a fucking reason. He knows that the Lander endorsement, the don't rank Cuomo, whatever, the momentum is behind Mamdani. He's going to be the Democratic primary contender. And he's going to go up against a Republican. Who is it again? I don't fucking know. Eric Adams, disgraced ass Eric Adams. And perhaps an Andrew Cuomo who's going to come through with a new party fabricated out of thin air. Because
I think it will be called, what's that Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson book? What is it called? The the book, the new part, the movement that they love.
the
Someone
third way,
no, it's not the third way. They had this abundance. Thank you, Last Gen Sports and Flash Gordon. They had the abundance movement. They had Matt Iglesias. Yeah, I'm not making this up. Go check it out. Look at the abundance conference. I would not be surprised if it's the abundance party.
yeah. Meanwhile,
Thanks, all. Sorry, it's late here. I'm with like 800 kids, but thank you. That's clutch. Francesca's audience, a sharp one.
yeah. No. We're here. They help me out all the time, and I just want to like shout out. What's up, Mark Boyd on YouTube? Bring back America Unhinged. And Vic Droid said this. Honestly, AOC and Bernie can take some notes on how he handled those questions. And here's when Vic Droid is basically referencing the questions about, does Israel have a right to exist? The questions about, what does global intifada mean? Now, as someone who literally used to work with a newspaper, a magazine called Left Turn, Notes from the Global Intifada, I could tell you global intifada means global revolution. That's what it means. It does not mean death to Jews. It means resistance. It means the shaking off of oppression, of colonialism. And instead of walking away saying, oh, well, I never really said that, or I don't really believe in that, or of course they have a right to exist. And, there's a right way and a wrong way to resist. And, I condemn everything that happened. Instead of answering which country would you first visit, because that's what he was asked in one of these, debates, which country are you going to visit as mayor of New York? And he was like, I serve New Yorkers. And he consistently said, what is happening in Gaza is I think he didn't say genocide, but he said humanitarian catastrophe, a war of, what were the wording that he said? But like,
he was blunt. He was blunt about what's
happening. He was blunt. And he did it with full of empathy. He was not searching for the words. He wasn't scared to say what it was. And then he ends it with a smile. And I think, you know what? This is the power also of actually electing people who come from different backgrounds. He's from Uganda. He is Muslim. His father, Mahmoud Mamdani, wrote this incredible, pivotal book in the year 2003, right in the run-up to the Iraq War, called Good Muslim, Bad Muslim. And I read it as a non-Muslim, learning about the Middle East, learning about how American Muslims are treated. And the basic premise is Muslims in America are constantly made to answer for every terrorist, for every anti-Semite, for everything that is being said. And the good Muslims are always the ones who are not religious. If you're religious, if you pray, if you practice, if you go to mosque, that's very dangerous. That's,
dangerous Muslim.
Exactly. Dangerous Muslim. You're the bad Muslim, right? Because the right Muslims are the ones who are super westernized and have left all that behind. Yeah, exactly. And you're just like, you have to understand how, like, AOC brings so much experience because of her own being a bartender, being Latina, being Puerto Rican, being from New York, from the Bronx. But like, New York is an immigrant fucking community. That's and right. Like, having the first Muslim mayor, holy shit, you got, like, holy shit, that is exciting. And again, like, I say this just as someone who's like, that's the richness that is brought. That is the ease at which he can speak, because he is Muslim, because he knows people. He knows, like, people who've been affected, because he's been affected his entire life. And he doesn't, and he's just very easeful with it. Like, this is what it is. I can just say this.
And also, the good Muslim, bad Muslim, I think it's very important. Just, his father wrote this book. I recommend people reading it, and he probably wrote it for his son without realizing it, because Mamdani had to go through the gauntlet of good Muslim, bad Muslim. And look at the double standards at play. The Islamophobia is present in the questioning. Who else gets asked these questions? If Narendra Modi was to visit, will you come? Like, what, mother effer, why are you asking him that question, right? And that's because the powerful pro-Hindu fascist lobby in New York probably, made him ask that question, right? He's probably said, like, I'm the mayor of New York, right? I'm not, like, why would I? And plus, I love his answer. He said no. And then he gave context why he wouldn't, because he said, yeah, my family is originally from Gujarat. And who was the chief minister of Gujarat during a horrible massacre against Muslims, and who was held liable for not doing anything? Modi. And who was not allowed to come to the United States for years until he became prime minister? Modi. So he also gave that context, because other people would have been afraid and said, like, well, I'm just going to be the mayor of New York. Why are you asking me this question? But he actually leaned into that, right? Secondly, when it comes to the Palestine-Israel question, why are you asking him this question? How come nobody else gets asked this question? Why? Simply because he has a Muslim name. He's not Palestinian, he's not Arab, but it doesn't matter. A Muslim is a Palestinian, is Arab, is ISIS, Al-Qaeda, is Hezbollah, is Hamas, is Islamic Jihad. And when I go on Piers Morgan's show, when I used to, he stopped because I turned it around and made him kind of laugh about it. The first time I was on Piers Morgan's show, this has happened throughout my life, throughout my career, I have to apologize for violent actions done by violent people I've never met before. Meanwhile, Vance Bolter, a mother effing Christian nationalist, Trump voting Republican, out of the news, and had a list of 70 people that he wanted to kill, and he did kill 2 Democratic representatives.
When that happened, we have not talked about that, but
gone
again.
Gone. Yeah.
What are, like, I didn't even talk about it today. It's like the news is moving so fucking fast. But yeah, he just in cold blood assassinated, murdered 2 Democratic politicians, and we just
no Republican is asked about it. No Republican is asked to condemn it. No Republican is asked, has your repetition of conspiracy theories and you sharing Trump's vile words, do you think has contributed to this? Maybe Governor Abbott pardoning a murderer, maybe Donald Trump pardoning violent extremists, maybe I don't know, the Supreme Court just going ham against LGBTQ people and women. Maybe I don't know, just like all this conspiracies about the rest of us being predators and pedophiles. Do you think maybe this contributed to Vance Bolter, a Republican Trump voting Christian nationalist who literally had a hit list of 70 people, mostly Democrats, and he succeeded by killing 2, injuring 2 others? No one mentions it, but Zohran Mamdani, folks. I just want this. I'm saying this because what's common to me isn't necessarily common to everyone else. I'm just step in the shoes of a Muslim and an Arab. Just like I try my best to step in the shoes of Black folks, LGBTQ folks, women, just for empathy. And you see how it's all connected, right? First, they go after the transgender people, the undocumented, then they're unleashing ICE against LA. As they're doing that, they're going after pro-Palestinian activists. As this is happening, they're doing this against Zohran Mamdani and the same talking points against Iran. It's all connected. It goes back to the racism and the greed of the establishment, of the 1%, of the people who are threatened by people who look like me and Francesca, of the people who are threatened to do something different, of the people who are threatened to, I don't know, have rich people pay their taxes. And Zohran is that beautiful package. Son of immigrants, brown skin, claims his Muslim identity, bearded, does not shirk when it comes to human rights or when it comes to rights of minority groups or when it comes to Palestinians, and says, by the way, the rich should pay their taxes. And you know what? New York City belongs to all of us. And you know what? I'm on the side, not of the landlords, but the tenants, and there should be fair housing. And that people is more threatening to them than Donald Trump, a criminal, authoritarian fascist who has unleashed ICE and the police against the American people. I just want you all to sit with that for a second.
I mean, and this is the other thing, is that this is a shot across the bow at the Democratic Party to say, look, this is your energy. You want a movement like MAGA? You want the fucking Joe Rogan of the left? Like, stop killing every single chance you get. Stop sabotaging Bernie Sanders. Stop, sabotaging the, squad members. And you know what else? I think this is really key. And we're going to see what happens in November, because Eric Adams is going to be running. He's also going to be getting a lot of foreign money. He's going to be getting a lot of Israeli money, Israeli lobby money. So is Cuomo. Cuomo has already gotten a lot of Israeli lobby money, including billionaire money, including Bill Ackman money, Bloomberg money. And, they are, I don't know why, because it's not like New York City policies impact Israel-Palestine. But again, it is simply having a Muslim man who speaks out for Palestinian and Jewish and Israeli human rights. That is a threat. That is a threat. Don't get it twisted. There's no policy decision really, unless does New York City want to divest from fucking Israel? But you know what I'm saying? There's no policy decision that's going to actually going to scare them. This is all about the optics of having someone on a national stage who would say those things. And that can't, if you're the Israeli lobby, you don't want to lose this argument. You don't want to lose your guys on the inside.
But can we be honest? Let's be blunt, because we've always been blunt about this, both independently and also when we co-hosted America Unhinged. And let's just keep it real, folks. It is so huge that during an ongoing genocide in Palestine, which was supported by the entire establishment, both Democrats and Republicans, except a few Democrats, but let's be honest, and except a few MAGA first people like Tucker Carlson and others, the fact that corporate media has bent the knee and parroted a both sides narrative, which is BS, sometimes straight up doing literal Israeli talking points like Dan Abash's shameful segment on CNN, right? The fact that so many people have lost their jobs. Susan Sarandon got booted from UTA. We had, so many people. Who else? Melissa Barrera, the friggin'
Yep.
face of the Scream franchise. What was
Rachel
her crimes?
Ziegler. Yeah.
Ziegler, like so many, go down the list, so many educators, the fact that Columbia University bent the knee, the fact that they went after the scalp of Claudine Gay, the fact that, in law firms, I mean, we know, folks, every single industry, right? I have so many friends who are partners in firms said, man, I can't say anything, right? And the entire establishment threw its entire weight behind this genocide, even though the majority said we're done with this. And the fact in New York City, 24 years ago was the victim of the 9/11 terror attacks done by 19 foreign hijackers. And there's a war in Iran with all the same neocon hawks coming out with their war boners, even though they're rhinos and anti-Trumpers. Doesn't matter. When it comes to bombing the Middle East, they get that war boner again, right? All of this is happening, and New York said, we'll go with Mamdani. I mean, I just want people to sit with it for a second and just bring it back, because there's 1,000 people watching on my Substack, a whole bunch of people watching on YouTube. We've been speaking for the past 30 minutes. For those who have missed our conversation, we're going to have it all up once it's done. But the fact that Clinton came out, Clyburn came out, Lawrence Summers came out, New York Times, Palantir, Bloomberg, they all came out against Mamdani, and it still wasn't enough.
I mean, and but I also think that is actually a sign, Waj, because those are also people, many of those same people who came out for Kamala Harris, I don't know, Beyonce, fucking like Kamala's face on the Sphere in Las Vegas for a week. Like, you can't fake the funk. You can't fake it. The reason that Jeffries sounds so different than Zohran is because Zohran believes what he's saying.
That's
he
right.
actually believes in the working class running New York. This is a man who organized with taxi workers and cabbies in New York who have been fighting for decades, really, and especially against the dawn of Uber and Lyft and all this, but who fought so much for their rights around, like, all the medallion reselling bullshit. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but he's always been on the side of the workers. This is a guy who's like practiced what he preached for a very long time. And so I'm excited to see what he can do. Look, he's 33. I mean, that's the other thing. But like, people don't vote for a 33-year-old assemblyman if they don't see promise in that, if they don't see hope in someone like that, and if they don't see a guy that they kind of want to hang out with. And that's why I have to play his rap.
Oh, let's do it.
Go ahead, make a rap for your naughty. It's a rap. Get the guap, spin the rack on your naughty. Spin the rack on through, give a dab to your naughty. If you really feeling good, spin the track for your naughty. Go ahead, make a rap for your naughty. It's a rap. Get the guap, spin the rack on your naughty. Spin the rack on through, give a dab to your naughty. If you really feeling good, spin the track for your naughty.
Nani's grandmother.
Nani. This is amazing.
Nani is your maternal grandmother, and also people don't realize, and I'm glad he didn't play this up. His mother is Mira Nair, the director who made Mississippi Masala and Salam Bombay, and also a Monsoon Wedding. And so that's his mom.
Oh,
yeah, Mira Nair is his mom, and his father.
She made Monsoon Wedding. I'm so much more into Mahmoud Mamdani, but I did love Monsoon Wedding. That was great.
Yeah, and her earlier work is the best. Salam Bombay, Mississippi Masala is very good. And so he's a New Yorker through and through. He makes that's a New York video. If you've gone to New York, walked the streets of New York, that's a New York video. And AOC also, right? When they tried to get her by saying, "Oh, look, there's a video of AOC in college dancing," people are like, "She seems dope. She's like dancing. I like her." Working class, right? Be authentic. And this is the thing, Francesca. I see Jeffries. I'll say it again. I've never been impressed by him. He cannot do it. He is not made for this. They're not made for this moment. They're not built for this fight. Even if you put a gun to their head and said, be authentic, he'd be like, a third way? What does the polling say about how to be authentic? Hold on one second, and he'll get a script, right? They can't do it. And because they can't do it, I think it's very clear that they're like an old skin that's being shed, right? You want authenticity over... Sadly, even over expertise, people want authenticity. Someone who comes from the grassroots, hears them, understands them, right? And with Jeffries and Schumer and all these other people, they seem like they were built in a laboratory, created out of abundance foam and the third way material stuffed together and then packaged and unleashed to the people and said, hey, people, this will be you. Vote for them. And people are like, no.
I wonder, no, thanks. I wonder, how Ezra Klein is feeling and how really the problem with affordable housing in New York City is just there's too many rules and regulations. They need to just get rid of those rules and regulations. Like, you're absolutely right. I think what you just said when you said it's less about expertise and it's more about authenticity. And I think both obviously are critical, right? But you're not going to get far if people don't believe what you're saying. And I think the internet truly has allowed us, and now we're however many years deep into this horrible experiment called the internet, where people can read you. People can read you very easily, whether you're being honest or dishonest, how manicured your message is. I mean, Donald Trump today saying, these two countries who don't know what the fuck they're fighting about, like, that was stupid and crass, and he just totally got played by Netanyahu. But that was a very real moment. Like, it's people like Trump because he's real. You know what? He's a real Klansman, and they like that.
He's a real grifter. He's a real sexual predator. And that was him being like unfiltered, and his base loved it. Now, obviously, behind that, you're like, you're an idiot. You got played. You have no idea what you're doing. You got dog-walked by Netanyahu. And we should laugh at you because you trusted your vibes instead of actual intelligence. And right after you announced a ceasefire, the 12-day war has ended. Literally, just can't make this shit up. Both countries are like, what ceasefire? But of course, we live in the worst timeline on earth. And this is the people who they voted for Donald Trump to give us peace and strength and security. But I do think, we have to find the wins where we can. I was talking to Pete Dominic, the great Pete Dominic. We have to tell people the wins because the wins are so few and far between. But the fact that it was the people in LA, and Francesca can talk about this, the organizers, the grassroots who mobilized. And that's why Dodgers, responding to the people, kicked out ICE and then gave $1 million donation to immigrants' rights. It was because of the people, right? It's the No King's right. It was the people. Yeah. Now, when it comes to the Iran war, a YouGov poll came out 2 days ago and said, when questioned about, do you want war with Iran, 85% of Americans said no. 85%. And then when it came out the polls today with CNN and CBS, when it comes to, do you support Trump's strike? Not the war, but the strike, right? A majority of Americans said no. You would think the Democratic Party would be, the lane is wide open, Francesca, for an anti-war party, and they still
get this. And it's the one thing that
no message.
It makes me want to truly gouge my eyes out, Waj, that we have people, Cenk Uygur, and we are lulled into this like, who's the anti-war person on the right? Is it this Klans person? Is it this Nazi? Is it this like, and we need to like herald them and support them and they're better angels. Motherfucker, look at all of the anti-war people on the left. Look at the liberals who are against this. Look at all of the people who just came out, the over millions of people who came out to vote for someone like Zohran because of the way he humanized Palestinians. Like, we don't need to bark up the Tucker Carlson fucking tree. Stop it. All we have to do is, I mean, is it too much to ask for Democrats to lean into international law? I don't know. Aren't they
lead based on values and let them follow for once, right? They don't have the numbers. This is what I say. I'm all about building a coalition. So I had a conversation earlier today, essentially a good interview with Olivia Troy. Olivia Troy, we had her on as a guest on America Unhinged, and based off that, I've had her on 2-3 times. We actually surprisingly get along and agree on a lot a lot of the stuff. But she left the first Trump administration. And then, never Trump or Rhino. And she was one of the few never Trump or Rhinos who said that this war on Iran is disastrous. And then she told me all these other people, without naming them, I think she was talking about Kinzinger and Frum and all these people were blowing up her phone and saying, how could you say that? This is awesome, right? And she said, I got to stick to she said this publicly on my Substack. I have to stick to my guts. I was part of the war on terror. I saw the failures firsthand. I saw how it was disastrous, and I have to learn from my mistakes, and I have to concede it was wrong. And I said, you know what? Respect. And so what happened is I said, you know what? You came out, you led by your values, and 3 days later, you were proven right, and all these people, their tweets are as friggin' stale as milk in a 106-degree New York sun. But I think lead by your values, let them follow for once, right? Why do we have to, and I go back to the 2024 DNC, they did not have a Palestinian speaker. They did not have a trans speaker. Who did they have? Adam Kinzinger. Who did they have? Leon Panetta. Maybe if we completely contort ourselves, adopt right-wing talking points, throw the woke, which is all of us, under the bus, maybe Chet will vote for us. And instead, Chet's like, no, I think you're pedophiles. I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. And meanwhile, Latoya, who's your strongest voter, said, F you, I'm going to stay at home. Ahmed said, I'm going to stay at home. Francesca said, fine, I'll vote for Kamala. I said, lesser of two evils, vote for Kamala, right? And so instead of contorting your body to win over Joe Walsh, I've interviewed him before, let Joe Walsh come to us, right?
Oh, God.
And they could contort themselves over their like Islamophobia and their anti-war boners and like, I really want to bomb Iran and Muslims, but
but it is really hard, like it is hard when your media is so dominated by your Dana Bashes and your Jake Tappers. I know that MSNBC has actually not been as horrible, but CNN has been truly beating the drums of war. And, folks like us are in our living room / on vacation. I'm like, and I'm not trying to say like it should be us, but
this is where my kids are sleeping.
Oh God,
I'm trying my best, folks.
But I do think that there is something to be said about the mainstream news fails Americans, and it fails to make the connection for people. And I think that one place you're seeing a little bit of a change, if I'm doing a media critique, is Pod Save America. Pod Save America is starting to have more progressive voices on. They had Hassan Piker on, and their audience was like, wait, where has this guy been all my life? He's making a lot of sense. Because all Pod Save bros do, really, I mean, I saw them when all these senators were confirming Trump nominees, they just have them on and they glaze the shit out of them and they don't ask them hard questions. And so this is the problem also with the Democratic Party. I had represented Yasmin Ansari, who is Iranian American, actually. She was on my show talking about her visit to El Salvador when Kilmar Abrego Garcia was there. And it was a really interesting discussion. It was great. She talked to me about, ICE operating over in Arizona. And then I asked her about Gaza. I was like, okay, so I see that you actually have taken money from Democratic Friends of Israel, like this Israeli lobbyist group. And she completely froze up on me and gave me sort of these talking points. And I pushed back and I was like, those are kind of talking points. And then her people got really pissed at me. Her people got super pissed that I even asked the question. And granted, I didn't tell them I was going to ask it, but I also just looked into her, who she was receiving money from. Now, the question is, will this representative ever come back on my show? You should come back on shows that are going to ask you hard questions. Ro Khanna, I don't always agree with him on many things, but you got to give that man credit. He goes back on, progressive shows that are, they beat the shit out of him.
And we drag him and he's a masochist and he comes back. But we try to be fair.
I know.
I think I actually might be talking to Ro on Thursday. I said, hey, Ro, I appreciate your resolution. You want to come talk about it? And I think he said yes on Thursday. But last week, 2 weeks ago, I dragged him because he's like, hey, let's have Elon Musk back. I'm like, maybe don't reach out to the guy who did the double Zig Heil, right? And I publicly dragged him over that.
Yes,
but these elected officials, what they want instead, Francesca, as you know, and as you and I have talked about, is they have spent, we're not making this up, folks, they have spent millions of dollars, the Democratic establishment, to research how to talk to men by doing retreats in luxury hotels, spending more than $20 million with a project called SAM, which is their initiative to reach out to men, and they want to spend up to $40 million to find the liberal Joe Rogan, even though Joe Rogan now has dropped to number 4 and Midas Touch as thing is number 1 in the podcast. This is what they're doing instead of, listening to their own base and just being authentic and, just coming out and talking to people. And you're going to take a few lumps, and that's okay. You can take a few lumps, but people respect you because you came out and talked, you listened, you heard. And if you evolve and you adapt, you're not my sheikh. You're not my priest. You're a politician. You're a tool to me. I use you. If you're useful, I like you. If you're not useful, I get rid of you. That's just my take on politicians, right? So evolve, adapt, change. Politicians do that all the time. And when they do, and they meet the moment, people say, hey, 10 years ago he was like that. Now he's like that. Okay. If he's the best option, I'll run with him. But they're incapable of doing it. And again, I go back full circle for the 1,100 people joining us on Substack and all the people joining on Francesca's. Thank you. We'll have this whole conversation up later. But just think about how out of touch the DNC is, folks, and why I think this is seismic. The entire establishment had a choice. They could have just stayed out of this. But they said no. Let me see where the wind is blowing. Change, reform, a democratic socialist, grassroots, calling out the genocide in Palestine, taxing the rich. What shall we do? Go all in for the sexual predator Andrew Cuomo.
Yes.
Francesca.
No, I'll just say, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, the one thing, the one really glaring piece of, let's call it racism, that is in this quest to find and reach men is that there's an implicitness in when they say men, they mean white men.
White men.
They implicitly mean white men. And yet, if Latino men start voting more for Trump, they get chided, shamed. How dare you? Why would you do this? We've done nothing on immigration reform in the last fucking 30 years. We dehumanize immigrants exactly the same way that Trump does. How dare you not vote for us? We've done nothing for your communities. How dare you vote for us, right? If it's Arab or Muslim men, right? Well, how dare you vote for us? Are you not vote for us? Are you kidding me? Why would you vote for Trump? Don't you see he's lying to you? I'm going to shame you. But when it's white men, oh, well, how can I? Are you okay? Do you need another green juice? Like what? Like you need another gym pass? Like when it's white men, it's always, well, how can we get them? Well, look at Zohran Mamdani. Look at this 33-year-old young Ugandan Muslim American man who's a total inspiration, who's adorable. I mean, let's be honest, that smile, goddamn. But like,
You want to invite him over to have chai. He seems like a good guy.
Yes. That is a man you want to introduce to all of your mom, your aunt. You're like, everyone wants to bring this guy home.
And he's already married, though, folks. But it just shows you, right? And, maybe the fact that they not just went for Cuomo, the fact that after 4 years, after kicking him out of the Democratic Party for the corruption, right, for the ethics violations, for the sexual predation, they're like, Zohran, predator. Zohran, predator. Doing a 180 on our own words against Cuomo like Clyburn. All right, Cuomo. We'll go for Cuomo. I mean, it's just so nakedly disgusting, in addition to the Islamophobia, in addition to the anti-Semitism. And you even saw Stephen Colbert get into it. That was a shameful interview. Did you see that?
Shameful.
Stephen Colbert interview?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just like, why, bro? Like, even like just doubling down. And then like, why? Why would you ask Zohran that, of all people, right? And just like, well, some people are like, why do you always have to like...
But he also said, no violence, right? Or do you agree no violence? You're like, what are you asking? What are you talking about?
Bad faith question. Why do we always elevate bad faith questions from bad faith people? We don't elevate, the position of the majority. And we say that that's always a flaming radical leftist. Oh, it's a flaming leftist, Medicare for all. It's a flaming leftist, no war. It's a flaming leftist, the Palestinians. But some aggrieved folks who are privileged, mostly white and or who are powerful, let's uplift their talking point against the woke. And let's uplift their racist talking point and the double standard against Mamdani. And let's have you now, essentially, let's have an inquisition of you in public. And let's see how you answer. And let's parse every word. And let's see if you say anything, dare I think, is anti-Semitic. But then Donald Trump can literally promote anti-Semitic conspiracy theories and, have Elon Musk who does a double Sig Heil and, sit with Nick Fuentes and a pass, Francesca. It just makes me so pissed off.
Well, I mean, and I think, again, to your point, in this week of political violence where, Democratic lawmakers in I'm now blanking on exactly where they, because I was on vacation when
Minnesota.
this fucking happened in Minnesota. Yes, of course, Tim Walz came out to speak. Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota were lined up and 2 of them were murdered. Like, along with their families, how many people did they kill? Like their spouses?
So it was so bad that Vance Bolter visited 4 homes. Thank God in the 2 homes, those Democratic lawmakers weren't there. He visits the home, if I remember, of Melissa Hoffman and her husband. They get killed. And then of another state representative and his wife, Yvette. And the wife, Yvette, said, how is this story out of the news? You know, my daughter was also lined up execution style.
Yes.
My daughter was able to escape and call 911. Could you imagine, folks, if this was, I don't know, a Muslim, a black person, an immigrant, or a liberal who had done this to a Republican? It would be in the news. It is out of the news, folks.
Out of the news.
It is out of the news.
No, and this is what I'm trying to say is like, this is not a dry run of authoritarianism.
Nope.
I think I saw someone say January 6th wasn't the end. It was the beginning.
Yep.
We are fully in it. And if we don't start getting serious about taking this kind of, obviously, political violence seriously, but moreover, deprogramming the insane people, and you deprogram them with better ideas. You don't deprogram them with the same old. And again, I'm not trying to say we like reach out to the fucking crazy militia terrorists. No. I'm just saying, like, we have so much work to do. We need to be putting up new ideas, but new ideas that are really old ideas. Just speak to the people. And so this win is so critical. And like I said, like I was trying to just think through how we were going to, as the progressive left, deal with such a loss as, like, you know, as Mamdani, despite the energy, despite everything. And thinking like, well, we're just still in the hell and I don't know. And it's just what par for the course. And now I'm like, okay, we have a fucking fighting chance. And
That's
and
right.
I say we, and we're not in New York. I'm in LA, you're in DC. Like, we have a fighting chance here, and there's going to be no breaks until November, because Cuomo will regroup. Cuomo will likely run independent. There will be even more money behind him. There will be even more coalescing behind him. Who knows whether Adams will, you know, get some sort of villa in Turkey and drop out of the fucking race in order to endorse Cuomo, right? Like, who knows? All the stops are going to be put out. Who knows the smear campaigns that are coming?
Absolutely.
All of this is coming, but you cannot, what we've proven and what progressives and leftists and all the hardworking folks in this campaign have proven is that people power can still win, that we can still vote our hopes. And let's not get it twisted. Ranked choice voting absolutely played a role in this. Although if it wasn't, Mamdani would also have won, because that would have been like 43% of the fucking. but ranked voting was important.
We've been going for an hour. Thank you so much. Thanks for Francesca for joining. I text her always. She goes, I'm so tired. Okay, fine. And I really appreciate you all tuning into her show. But last thing I'll say before I shamelessly promote Francesca is exactly what you said, Francesca. This isn't over. And my fear and my prediction is, and I hope I'm wrong, I hope some people have learned the lesson, but based on what I just seen the past week, based on what I've seen just in New York, the reporting, they're already saying, what about the global intifada? These were some New York reporters, folks, and commentators, right? They're going to go 10 toes down on the smearing, the racism, the Islamophobia, the critique, the labeling of anti-Semitism, right? They're going to unleash hell. The Democrats, instead of taking on Donald Trump, are going to spend all of their money on the deal going against Zohran Mamdani. Wall Street's going to go after him. AIPAC's going to go after him. All these Democrats who feel snubbed are going to go after him. This isn't over. Palantir CEO is going to go after him. They're like, over Charlton Heston, over my dead body, right? They are not sleeping tonight, which is the best. All the worst people on earth are crying right now. And not tears of joy, but tears of sadness and fear. They're terrified of a brown man who's young, who actually wants to help the people. And all the people who've united against Zohran Mamdani, those are the baddies, sorry to say. You want to know who the bad guys are? It's them. And I include Clinton. Clinton, you're done. And I include the Clyburns. I'm sorry, the establishment is going to come out. So the people have to stay united. They're going to do smear campaigns. They're going to spend money. They're going to do cracks. They're going to go against coalitions, divide and conquer against culture. Mamdani hates blacks. He hates Latinos. He hates the gays. You got to stand united. And if you stand united, and if Mamdani can be the mayor of New York City, one of the greatest cities on earth, my God, man. Who's the mayor of London? They did the same thing against Sadiq Khan. They love him, though, right? If you could have Sadiq Khan, the son of immigrants, Muslim brown guy, and Mamdani, mayor of London and New York City during rampant Islamophobia, hate against immigrants, hate against refugees. My God, what a statement, especially a guy who's not part of the establishment. So I say, you know, take a rest, enjoy the wins, but we got to keep fighting. And these wins are huge. The win, Wisconsin double-digit win, despite Elon's $20 million. This win, the wins that are happening in some of the court cases, not the Supreme Court. And, you know, let's see how this plays out tomorrow. But we got to, folks, it's going to be in it. And for people who are seeing me, hi, I am Wajahat Ali. I used to co-host America Unhinged.
That's Wajahat Ali.
I do get mistaken for Sanjay Gupta. I have been mistaken for Hassan Minhaj. I have been mistaken also for Mehdi Hassan, but I am just a Wajahat Ali. Some people call me the Timu Brown guy. That's fine. I say I'm Jason Statham of Browns. When you want Mehdi, Mel Nanjiani and Hassan Minhaj, but you can't get them, you get me, and I always deliver.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. You're not. There's nothing Timu about Waj.
The guy who everybody, people with a refined taste, they're like, Waj, I like him. I'm the independent version, but that's fine.
Yeah, Timu is not for the refined. Okay, you're like, what's another brand? I don't know.
Jason
brand.
Statham of Browns, beekeeper.
Oh, Jason. Okay, that's fine. Jason Statham of Browns works. Thank you, Leith, by the way, for your super chat. Thanks for all the super chats. Thanks for all your comments. Waj has got to bounce, and I'm streaming on his left hook.
Gave you a $99. Goddess of Gloom. Thank you so much. Wow. And if I may share this promotion, Francesca has a Substack. Please subscribe to the Substack. If you aren't a subscriber to her fantastic show, click the bell right now. All the super chatters who've given money, there's an option to give a donation to Francesca right now. She's independent. It's the one with the $sign. You can give a tip. I'm at the Left Hook Substack, the lefthook.substack.com. I'm not an idiot, but I am a fool. I've kept everything for free, no paywalls. You pay what you can. I'm like Blanche Dubois. I depend on the kindness of strangers. And tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, I have the fantastic Kat Abu Ghazaleh joining me. And at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, I have Eddie Glaude. And we were supposed to.
You have to connect me with Eddie because I've been trying to get Eddie on my show. I love him.
He's great. And Eddie, like Eddie's blunt as hell. At Princeton, tenured, he doesn't give any F. And I think, and then Monday and Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, I co-host Democracy-ish with Danielle Moody.
Yes. I'm gonna boot you, and I'm gonna stop streaming. But thank you so much. And I'm just gonna hang on for just like a moment longer. I'm gonna see if I. Okay, thank you guys so much.